What is going on tonight, folks? Welcome to Wednesday night here on the Land Tamer stream. Got a brief couple of updates for those following the channel, following the journey here towards that CCIE number. Learning how to learn course is the theme of day 357. What this is it's part of, I guess I can move this up here. Yeah, I'm working on still the multi-part video series on passing the written. I think it's going to be 5 or 6 parts. As part of those, I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people in the community and also people asking, hey, please give me some advice. So not all I can tell them is I'm working on it. I really have not had a lot of time to record these videos, but hopefully, I was hoping to get the first one done today, but it just did not work out. I've got a good bit of work today. In fact, I have to do a change. I have a change window tonight with some work that came up that I have to do. So it's been real busy. Everyone's been back. Hey, Casadix, the faithful, El Fiel. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well tonight in your neck of the woods. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm working on this, video series, and one of the recommendations that came in was from Tim McSee, and you may know him from Router Gods. You may know him from Twitter. He's Juan Golbez at Twitter, if you want to give him a follow. He actually recommended this course, and it's called Learning How to Learn. And I thought, if I'm going to recommend this, let me at least dip into it and see what it's about. So I started it today, kind of while I'm doing some other things. I played a little bit of it and went through, 5 or 6 of the videos. And it turns out it is free. You do have to, if you want to get a certificate for passing the course, you of course have to pay. But if you want to just, watch the videos or some exam, they test your knowledge and things like that. And I have to say, it's really good. There's also a book that one of the authors wrote in regards to learning how to learn. I did a little bit of this when I started preparing for the written exam. Actually, there's some good videos published. I think they're on Cisco.com, to be honest. I'll see if I can dig those up as well. They're really good because they have a series also on just learning. And a lot of the focus in my first video is going to be about learning and focusing on how you learn and how important that is. So far I have to say that, Tim highly recommended this course. He passed his written on the first attempt, and he also passed he has a CCIE number for the routing and switching. I think he did 2 attempts. His second attempt on the lab, he passed. So, but he's a real sharp guy. I've met him in person at Cisco Live, and he has a great blog. You can see on his Twitter profile his blog, but he recommended this, and so far I'm really liking it. So I'll be able to at least speak on that too when I talk about it in the video, because that's going to be somewhat of the focus of the first videos, is introduction and your learning technique and focusing on how you learn. So very important stuff. I'm still working on my lab plan of the written notes. And I spent some time, the time I had today, this morning after my workout, I did have time to go through and made some further progress. I read a few really good articles and reviewed some things. There was something I was tempted to lab, but I decided to hold off on that because I may face it in preparing for the actual lab exam. So that is going well. I'm about halfway through those notes. I was delighted to find that a couple of questions I wasn't sure about today, that it looks like I got those right. Whereas yesterday, the couple of questions I looked at, like through the second quartile, that's sort of the second portion of the written, I thought I had gotten them right, and I did not. So, there's back and forth as you go through and review the notes. I have not set a date, didn't have time to do that. But again, by the end of the week, I plan to have a tentative date. And of course, oh, by the way, yeah, as I mentioned, the written notes, I'm putting a cap on that until the weekend. So this weekend, at some point, I will start back in the INA Advanced Technology Workbook. And today I did go through my flashcards. I actually added more flashcards. I probably added, in reviewing one of the written topics, it was, one of them was pretty tough. Like I thought I understood it, and I went into some Cisco documents and found out that I was just looking at the tip of the iceberg. Like I really did not know that topic very well. So I dug into it and I created another flurry of flashcards associated with that so that I can remember. And that is going to be a big part of the first video as well in terms of your memory retention. I did get to do some work. Actually, all this week, I got to fire up, I think it was Monday, my Azure lab, and had plenty of time. I have, credits there. With like 9 days left, I have like $140. Haven't really done much in Azure, but I have a scenario for some work this weekend that has to do with BGP and some other protocol work that I wanted to lab out, and it was somewhat large. So it was nice to be able to go into EvenG Community Edition in Azure and add all those routers and lab it up. It was helpful too because there were a couple things I was unsure about what would exactly happen. And being able to lab it out is such a huge deal. It's going to make my change window, on this weekend go a lot smoother than it would have, because I caught a couple of typo errors and I caught a couple of other errors in the design that I was able to work through. So that was cool. Also, this giveaway, I mentioned this yesterday, didn't get any takers, which is fine. Understand a lot of people are working on out of networking books or studying. This is a good skills book. And if you are interested, just DM me on Discord or post up in the chat here. I will send it to you for free. The Quantum Age of IT. I can honestly recommend it. Did not take that long to read, and it's a good book and gives good perspective on how the times are changing. The skills you used to have as a network admin or server admin. Sorry, Casadics. Yeah, I understand. I'd have to see how much it would cost us to Brazil. You never know. Maybe it wouldn't cost that much. I'll check on that, my friend, and see. But yeah, anyone else that I do need to mention, that if I can ship it easily in the US, drop me a DM. I got one trivia question today before we wrap things up here, and I'm going to get to a little bit of study before I have to get ready for my change tonight. It is during this spanning tree protocol phase that port roles are determined. So, of course, what we're talking about here is we know that, there are different stages of the traditional spanning tree 802.1d protocol of an interface, right? So it will go, of course, in maybe disabled, blocking mode, listening, learning, and depending on the role that is determined, is it going to be, will it be a designated port? If so, it will be forwarding, right? Will it be a root port? So in the case of a root port, of course, it would be forwarding. Or will it be a blocked port? And it might be alternate depending on your platform. So that would be either forwarding or blocking. So go from forwarding, it could go from learning to either forwarding or blocking, right? Or might block earlier than that. So essentially, at what stage are the port roles determined? So obviously it's not going to be disabled or blocking. It's either going to be listening, learning, or forwarding. Forwarding, we know it's not that, because basically with forwarding, you've already learned your role. You're going to be a designated port, right, or a root port. So it has to be either listening or learning. And sometimes it can be confusing to think about what the differences in those roles are. But if you have an answer, just think about it in your head, or you can post it in the chat or in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube after the stream. But essentially, this would be the listening phase. So in the listening phase, we are receiving, BPDUs. We're evaluating those BPDUs, and basically the switch is learning who is the root bridge, and thusly, what port will be the root ports, and what ports will be designated, and what ports will be blocking or alternate, right? And there's a time, generally the timer for that is 15 seconds in the listening phase. And once that is decided, then we basically assign the port roles, and we still go into another timer. We wait another 15 seconds in the learning phase. And learning is where we're actually learning like MAC addresses. We're starting to populate our MAC address table so that when we transition into forwarding, for example, we can start forwarding frames in the data plane, right? So that is the answer there, folks. Hope that was helpful. And it's always good to know there are differences, of course, between one question always comes up too is, well, what are the port roles in RSTP, and how do they differ? How do the behaviors differ in the control plane when determining, what will be our data plane forwarding paths? Good stuff. I just have a couple of meat chunks today. One is the Wireshark update that came out. I know on Windows machines that usually the next time you open Wireshark, if there's an update, if you have it set to automatically check for updates, it will prompt you and you can go ahead and install. I'm not sure if it does that on the Mac. I'm not sure that it does, to be honest. Because as a matter of fact, today when I launched it on the Mac, I had to use it to look at something. It did not notify me of the update. Yo, and yes, mine on Windows 10 prompts. Hey, Dufram, good to see you, my friend. Hope your studies are going well, bud. Yeah, Windows prompts, but I still like to let people know about this because on the Mac, I don't think it does. So I went ahead, and once I saw the tweet, I went ahead and updated my Wireshark because there are no new features in this release. These are the release notes. I always love to look at the release notes. It's amazing what you learn in there. Like, for example, that the Wireshark updates are sponsored by Riverbed. I didn't know that until I noticed a detail today on the website that it's actually Riverbed that sponsors the development of Wireshark. But sometimes when they have new features, it's cool to see new stuff that they put in, like new plugins and things like that. So I like to always share those. Also, this is the link, as I mentioned earlier, Learning How to Learn course on Coursera. You do have to sign up, but you can, as far as I could tell, this has been my first day to use it. You can use it for free, and it has some good content in there. Really good content so far. And when you're talking about the CCIE, it's so important to pay attention to how you're learning and make the best use of your time and try to retain as much information as you can. So important. That's going to wrap it up today, folks. Thanks for stopping in here, everybody in the chat. Appreciate it, and all the viewers. Thanks so much for the support. If you have not yet, feel free to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, click that follow here if you're not already here on Twitch. Kasadic says, hey, speaking of content, I signed up ACM. Thanks, by the way, for the tip. Oh, you're very welcome. I actually got the tip, learned that from Router Gods a while back, and Dufram reminded me of that. It is, enjoy that content, Kasadic. There's a lot in there. There really is. And I actually got a newsletter. I got an email today. They have an email newsletter. They also have a print magazine, which I got my first edition, I think, last week. I didn't find much in there and not real excited about that, but I really like the newsletter. There's some great links. They have and some of them are related to employment, like hot trends for 2019 on employment. And they had actually consolidated a number of links from a lot of different sources. So someone had already curated. I like the idea of curated links. That's why I like Packet Pushers has a link propagation email where someone else is reviewing all sorts of material. That's why I do that here too. And they're posting like the highlights, the best stuff. And I like that about the acm.org newsletter too. So there's other benefits besides just Safari Books Online, it turns out. But yeah, that's what this channel is all about, helping fellow networkers, with tips and resources that we like to pass on. So glad that helped out, Casadix. And that'll wrap it up tonight, folks. Thanks so much for stopping by. As always, appreciate it. Sending good bits out to the universe for everybody else who's, in the struggle and in the journey with me and with the rest of our folks. So y'all have a great night, and we shall see you back here tomorrow on the Land Tamer stream.